Mr. President, I wish to begin by thanking you for having convened this meeting at this difficult juncture and wishing you success in your presidency of the Security Council this month. As many speakers mentioned yesterday and today, despite the enormous anger and worldwide anguish shown by the international community, the abhorrent carnage and the crimes against humanity by the Zionist regime against the innocent Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip is continuing unabated, and every day we witness a new phase of this vicious aggression and crime. As a result of this atrocity, hundreds of civilians have been so far cold-bloodedly massacred in Gaza and thousands wounded, most of them women and children. The world community is witnessing with outrage and anguish the perpetration of some of the plainest examples of crimes against humanity and genocide by an irresponsible and brutal regime that knows no boundaries in violating the most basic principles of international law, international humanitarian law, and human rights law. It seems as if the life of this criminal regime depends on creating of and persisting on bloodshed, and as if this regime feeds on nothing but war crimes, aggression, occupation, and state terrorism. Mr. President, people of Gaza continue to be subjected to untold suffering that are unprecedented in mankind's recent history. It is appalling to see that in the 21st century, the civilized world is witnessing that the whole population is under crippling blockade, starved, deprived of the most basic supplies such as even bread and drinking water, and at the same time slaughtered in one of the most horrendous ways while having been left with nowhere to go, nothing to eat, or no safe place to take shelter. Even the places that are the United Nations has provided for these innocent people to escape from Israeli brutality are savagely attacked, as the world saw in yesterday's Israeli attack on UNRWA schools, killing more than 40 people, many of them children. The Israeli regime is targeting every human being, every house, and every infrastructure in Gaza. It is actually targeting every value that the civilized world stands for and every principle of the international law that is dear to the world community. Mosques, hospitals, schools, UN buildings, medicine and food stores, and even farms and private houses of the people are callously bombarded, and women, men, and children are slaughtered in their beds, in their homes, and everywhere on the streets. And to cover up all these crimes, the media is not allowed by the Israeli regime to freely access the area and cover the tragic development in the Gaza Strip. Savagely should be stopped, and it should be stopped immediately. The Israeli war machine must be stopped from shattering more lives and livelihood, and the Israeli war criminals should be brought to justice for the crime they have perpetrated and continue to perpetrate, and for the outrages and brutal pain and the torment they have inflicted and continue to inflict on the innocent people in Gaza. As mentioned by some of the distinguished speakers yesterday, a whole population is being massacred only because it resists occupation and state terrorism, and simply because it has exercised its right to vote, which is the most basic principle of democracy. Mr. President, the credibility of the international community and of the United Nations is at stake and has been once again challenged by the Israeli regime's war crimes and crimes against humanity. It is long overdue for Security Council to live up to its responsibility to stop these atrocities. The Security Council must take urgent and effective measures to stop this carnage and to help ease the suffering of the people in the Gaza Strip. Every minute matters, since it means more crimes by Israelis and more losses by the innocent Palestinians. The Council must act, and it must act now. The Security Council should adopt a binding resolution to call for an immediate end to Israeli attacks and aggression against the innocent Palestinian people in Gaza, immediate Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, lifting the blockade, opening the crossing, and urgent provision of humanitarian assistance to the people there. The international community must hold this regime accountable for its crimes and for the damages it has incurred on the defenseless Palestinian, and should mobilize its efforts and resources to reconstruct the infrastructures in Gaza. Stalling tactics by some permanent members to obstruct any action by the Security Council and to render the Council incapacitated is neither acceptable nor justifiable and tantamount to complicity in the Israeli crimes against the Palestinian people. The Security Council must be allowed to take action and to stop this unbridled state terrorism. Indeed, if the Security Council continues to fail to discharge its responsibility to stop this carnage, the member states are fully ready to ask the General Assembly to take up the issue based on the resolution on United for Peace. Mr. President, I do not wish to take the valuable time of the Council to address the absurd statement of the Israeli representative in the Council yesterday, in which certain baseless allegations were raised against my country. Suffice to stress that these are despicable tactics in trying to distract the attention from Israeli crimes at a time when the whole world is united to counter these crimes. These unworthy tactics have not worked in the past, nor will work in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Je remercie le
I thank the
représentant de la République
representative of the
islamique d'Iran.
Islamic Republic of Iran,
Je donne à présent la
and now give
parole
the
au
floor to
représentant
the
du Nicaragua.
representative of